The Ink and Paint Club podcast is intended for mature audiences only, so don't tell your parents! Listener discretion is advised.
Adult Swim! All kids out of the pool!
You're listening to the Ink and Paint Club podcast, a proud member of the Geekly Grind Podcast Network.
Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome to the Ink and Paint Club podcast. My name is JD. I am joined by Matt.
Hello.
Dustin is here.
Hello, my name is Dustin, and I'm here to talk to you about Adult Swim.
And Aiden is also here.
Hey guys, you're watching Bird Up.
The worst show on television.
The worst podcast on whatever you're using this podcast for.
That's probably true.
But yeah, guys, it's been, Matt, it's 20 years, right?
Hey, everybody. It's been 20 years since Adult Swim aired its very first broadcast.
Yeah, so we are here to talk about and celebrate the legacy that is Adult Swim. I'm sure a gateway to many things for a lot of us. We'll just be kind of sharing like our favorite shows, our favorite memories, and all that. Just to reminisce and like, you know, how important that this weird little thing that Cartoon Network decided to do has really blossomed over the last 20 years and almost like become a staple to its current lineup. But so I guess we can just kind of start off here. What your first experience with like watching Adult Swim was? Whoever wants to go first.
Well, I want to preface this by saying that I was like 5 when Adult Swim premiered, so I didn't get a whole lot of like the early era of Adult Swim since I wasn't allowed to watch it. So
Sure.
yeah.
It must have been like 10, I guess. Yeah, if it was 20 years ago, then I was like 9, 10 years old.
I was 12. I was there night one. Well, I guess not really night one, since they had aired a preview a while beforehand, but I was there on night one of the first official Adult Swim broadcast. 20 years.
Well, we're not talking about the preview. That's just a preview. That ain't the genuine article.
Yeah.
That's not what they talk about in the history books. Except
This is the anniversary of the block.
Yes, of the actual Adult Swim block. I guess none of us were adults when Adult Swim came out, so we were breaking the law when we were watching it.
Yeah.
Don't tell them.
I was like a baby.
Edit our names out. Edit our names out.
You know what? If we weren't gonna get canceled by now, it was gonna happen already. I feel really bad because like my first Adult Swim experience wasn't with like one of the original shows. I don't know if I've told this story before, but my first knowledge of Adult Swim was because I was flipping channels and found Inuyasha.
Wow.
And Inuyasha is the reason I know cartoons can swear.
I'm pretending it's demon food because I'm half demon.
I just distinctly remember watching it with my brother late at night, and Inuyasha said, "Damn it!" And I just thought in my mind, I'm like, "Wait a minute, cartoons can't swear."
Did a cartoon just say that?
Because I didn't have a concept of what anime was yet. I just assumed everything was a cartoon.
Dustin,
No.
that was a Robot Chicken bit, right?
It sure was.
we'll talk about that show.
Probably the earliest memory. Sorry, you go ahead, Matt.
No, what I was just gonna say was, if you want to get technical about it, I mean, I would assume like mine and Dustin's first exposure to Adult Swim stuff would just be pre-Adult Swim, because you know Space Ghost Coast to Coast is kind of the catalyst for a lot of this other, a lot of the programming that ended up being on the launch.
Oh, definitely. Me and my family watched a bunch of Cartoon Planet and Coast to Coast, and what a wonderful time.
Yeah, I'm in the same boat. My parents would had like VHS recordings of Cartoon Planet, and
Same.
Back then I had a fucking, even as like a very small tiny baby, like Space Ghost Coast to Coast and Cartoon Planet. I watched that all the damn time when I was really young. Like,
yeah,
that was a big exposure to that was a big kind of my first exposure to Adult Swim. But then there was like this other time where like I was at my grandma's house and my grandma had passed out on the couch and I wasn't really sure what to do, so I just left the TV on and I just left the TV. It's not as bad as it sounds. I left the TV on, Adult Swim, and I just kind of let all of it kind of wash over me because it was back during the days of like C-Lab, Harvey Birdman, Aqua Teen. I was like 5. I was like 6. I didn't understand a single joke that they were talking about, but
Yeah, there's like worse things that your grandma could have left the television on, like
yeah,
like HBO or something.
Yikes.
No, see, this is where I kind of feel bad because, again, I feel bad, I guess, because I didn't learn. I guess I just wasn't up late enough for it. Like, I didn't know what Space Ghost or Cartoon Planet or any of that was till way after the fact. Like, I didn't know it was on TBS to begin with. And I didn't really see that stuff on Adult Swim for a while. So like I feel so out of the loop, like post everything, whatever.
Okay,
That's
JD.
okay.
It's not
we
your fault.
We won't tell anyone.
Yeah.
It's okay. Then I was a lame child.
Well, it's okay because you grew up into a lame adult. So at least you're consistent.
The prophecy has been fulfilled.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, Aiden already touched on some of the series, but as far as the actual launch day, Adult Swim launched on September 2nd, 2001. And it's weird to think that Adult Swim originated as a block that only lasted like 3 hours and just on Sundays.
Sundays with repeats on Thursday, but I think that was a little bit later that they started doing the repeat.
Yeah, and then they eventually grew to, going throughout the week, and then the block would, take up more and more hours. Because I think now it goes up till, 6 a.m.?
Yeah, doesn't it start like at 8 o'clock now?
Yeah.
Oh, does it?
Yeah, it's like they kept pushing it earlier and earlier, and it's mostly because they show like King of the Hill front off, so it's like an inoffensive lead up. But I was watching this video the other day about how Cartoon Network's structure, like scheduling structure, is going to be changing soon. So Adult Swim, I don't think is going to be changing. So it's going to be from like it's 8 or 9 whenever it starts to it's like weird 6 a.m. start time. But then like the morning to mid afternoon is going to be like preschool stuff.
Huh.
And basically, if I'm remembering this video right, it's basically saying that Cartoon Network proper, out of a 24-hour day, is only going to be on for 6 hours.
Yep.
Oh, that's rough.
Wow. So they're taking like a Nickelodeon route, right? Because like Nick Jr. probably takes up that amount of time too.
Right.
And they learn nothing from Tickle You.
Right.
That takes me back.
Well, I think they're going to be importing a lot of stuff from HBO Max. Some of those like younger kids shows that are going to start.
Is this the reason why Adult Swim's April Fool's joke this year was the Adult Swim Junior?
Yeah, honestly,
a lot of people think it was.
Yeah. Okay, that makes sense in context now. That's really funny.
But yeah, it's just weird to think about like how Cartoon Network was what started this all, and now like Adult Swim is basically going to overtake it technically.
Yeah, I mean, just when it starts coming to with how prevalent like streaming is now, I mean, yeah, as far as like scheduling stuff on broadcast television, like I guess they kind of have to get a bit more. I don't want to say creative, maybe not the right word about it.
I mean, Cartoon Network's had a lot of originals that are premiering on HBO now, and then are like going to Cartoon Network like months later. Like I know Jellystone is going to be on Cartoon Network here in the next couple of weeks, and it's been out on HBO for a couple of weeks now. So
they also did the same thing with I think Harley Quinn is now airing on Adult Swim, right? And that's from HBO Max, but that originated on DC Nation or whatever.
Well, actually, if I remember right, I think Harley was actually airing like on Sci-Fi or something.
Oh, was it?
But it was because Adult Swim or Toonami. I think it was Toonami actually, which I guess we might talk about that. I don't know. But yeah, basically to celebrate Suicide Squad coming out, they played the entire first season of Harley Quinn.
Yeah.
Oh,
nice.
Okay. Well, then that
Good
makes
for
sense.
them.
More people need
just
to know about that.
yeah, just to
That's
go
a
back
good
to
show.
that launch day. So in order from 10 p.m. to 1 a.m. they played Home Movies, The Brack Show, Harvey Birdman, Attorney at Law, C-Lab 2021, Space Ghost Coast to Coast, and Cowboy Bebop. So that was
one
like
of these things is not like the other.
Well, I mean, for only being like the one anime show like on that block, like it led way to how important anime would become like to Adult Swim, especially now that for some years now that whole block's just been taken up by Toonami. Which I'm not sure because it's been a long time since I've watched Adult Swim or Toonami on television because I don't have cable. But I seem to remember that it was just on Saturdays, right? Is it still that way, or have they made it so that just like
Toonami's on Saturdays? Yeah,
just on Saturdays,
and that's where they push all the anime stuff now.
Although they did just recently start shaking things up. They started airing both Naruto and Samurai Jack in the 5 a.m. slot.
Huh.
Weird meeting of East and West there.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that's just that. Going off, I originally, when we were trying to figure out like how to celebrate the 20th anniversary of Adult Swim, I had originally set it to I wanted to do 4 individual episodes each on Brack, Birdman, C-Lab, and Aqua Teen. But I kind of figured like, it's the 20th anniversary of Adult Swim, and unlike previous episodes on the podcast where you're talking about like Kids WE or Fox Kids or whatever, like those specific blocks that you guys talked about had a specific start and end, whereas you have Adult Swim, which is still going and has 20 years worth of original programming, licensed programming, all the anime, everything else, and like it's going to be way too much for us to touch everything, but I did kind of figure that we would just talk about notable shows and our favorite shows, basically. But before we get to kind of talking about like the shows, I kind of want to just talk about the specific network identity because I don't know, it was like, especially for when it aired, it was just something very unique. Like the original branding, being the shots of the like the YMCA pool with like all the old people with like the all the music playing and everything. Yeah, I don't know. It seemed like a very special thing because like every other network on at the time, like whenever they do like bumps or anything, like it's just for advertising. Up next, this show, blah blah blah, and then just like commercials. But you got.
Well, I feel like the call outs they would do in between things, it was just like a lifeguard yelling over a bullhorn. Anytime they would call out, it's like, this one's next.
Yeah, well, what I meant to say was that it eventually graduated into the style that Adult Swim is now, white text on black background.
With
where
some
like
banging music.
With great music.
Yeah, no. The music that Adult Swim always picks for their little for their little text border, for their little text bumpers is just, I don't know where they're getting it, but it's a vibe. Like, that's the thing I really enjoy about, like, the modern Adult Swim identity is that a lot of it, there's just, like, a vibe to Adult Swim that, like, it's weird to call it comfy at times, but it just kind of is.
Yeah, well, it has an aesthetic.
Yeah,
yes.
It's got an aesthetic to it.
And like, it's not, there's no vocals to it. It's just like white text on a black background and some like vibe and music.
Some
and
hip hop.
Kind of, actually, yeah. But I love it because like they just like have these stupid messages between commercial breaks, and they're always like a little sarcastic and passive aggressive.
Yeah. That was what I was getting at, was that it just became very sort of like, yeah, it's like listening to radio like in the late 90s or something, where everything's like aggressive and like, making fun of you and stuff. Like, it had that sort of vibe to it, which I really enjoyed.
Like, sometimes I'll I don't know why I keep watching this video periodically, but the fucking when they were airing the fake endings to the Aqua Teen movie, and every time they would play a new one, they just put a message up. It's like, oh, this one didn't test well. We just wanted to piss off PETA.
It's funny how Adult Swim has kind of had 3 eras, and all 3 of those eras are like at the beginning of the 2000s. Because it starts out with the pool, and then it turns into first aid diagrams, and then it goes to the
yeah.
and then it goes to the white text on the black background.
I forgot about the first aid.
I like them.
Era.
They're fun. They have like fun illustrations. It has like characters from various Adult Swim shows performing or receiving CPR and first aid, including characters from shows that aren't original. So it was neat to see like acquired shows. This was before they got Family Guys, but it was like right when they had Futurama. So like they had Futurama in there, Mission Hill, Baby Blues, etc., etc.
I remember seeing a couple of those because I remember like Futurama being on Adult Swim was the time my parents were like, we'll let you watch like at least Futurama on Adult, and then I did.
Good.
Well,
Who would?
And I mean, I think that even what even kind of speaks to Adult Swim's like its importance, I guess. I mean, it is basically responsible for bringing back Futurama and Family Guy.
Oh
It's
yeah.
responsible for bringing back a bunch of shows. Like there's a lot of shows that can honestly say that they were brought back because of their popularity on Adult Swim. Some for better, some for worse. But overall, it's still like it's crazy to think that shows like Futurama, Family Guy, fucking FLCL,
Samurai Jack.
Samurai
Home movies.
Jack, Home Movies.
Oh, Home Movies, yeah. Home
Toucan
Movies was the
Birdie
first
just-
one.
Toucan and Birdie just recently.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah, that's true.
Like all of these shows just kind of like
Oh,
Adult Swim would pick them.
Sorry, I was gonna say Big O. Like that was the one anime
Oh,
that they.
yeah.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah, I forgot
The
about
second
those,
season.
though.
Oh, right, because like the first one was just on regular daytime Toonami, wasn't it?
Yeah, and then Adult Swim co-produced that second season because it was so popular.
Oh wow, I need to rewatch Big O. I remember liking that.
Right, and then yeah, you already brought up like FLCL, right? Them doing the two progressive and alternative as well.
Yeah, like, and it's
Adult
just
Swim.
kind of one of those cool things I like where Adult Swim are definitely like they've got their ear to the ground of their audience, and they're like, okay, yeah, we'll try to bring this back if the creators are up for it.
Yeah,
Isn't it interesting how they helped bring back and revitalize Futurama and Family Guy, and it lost Futurama and it's losing Family Guy next week.
yeah.
Yeah.
That was because you mentioned Family Guy. I did want to bring that up because it's very What exactly? I can't remember what year they started doing Family Guy reruns, but they've been doing them since then. So
I want to say
Like 2003.
2003, yeah.
Because I remember the big pull for that was like they were going to air episodes that Fox wouldn't let the team air because they were too
Yeah.
raunchy. But Adult
When You
Swim
Wish
said,
Upon
"Who
a
fucking
Weinstein."
cares?"
yeah,
Yeah,
it's
and
wild.
like regardless of whatever people's opinions are on Family Guy, it is a like to this day it's one of the ratings bringers for Adult Swim. So it's
Mhm.
going to be very interesting seeing what happens when it's gone.
And have they said a reason why it's leaving?
Yeah,
That's
because
right.
Disney owns it.
Oh, that's right. Duh.
They're,
I am constantly reminded that Disney bought Fox, and this happened ages ago.
yeah, I think it's moving to. Oh no, not FX. It's like one of the other
FXX and Freeform.
Right.
Freeform, really? Okay.
Well, it's been on Freeform, but they've only been allowed to play like the seasons Adult Swim didn't have. But
Right.
pretty soon, in like a little over a week, it's going to have all of them.
So, is there any like old school sort of syndicated stuff that Adult Swim does now? Because I mean, I know that they lost Futurama. Are they still doing King of the Hill, or did they lose that?
Oh, they lost King of the Hill a long time ago.
I wasn't sure if they ever like brought it back. So,
They're not showing American Dad anymore because that's on TBS.
Oh no, they are. They've been
They
playing
still-
American Dad.
Okay.
so
Well, it's
so
TBS
American
is
Dad's, like-
owned by Turner, so
Right.
they just have access to it.
All right.
so American Dad's like that last one then.
Yeah, I don't know how that works since TBS is the one making new episodes, so I think Adult Swim is able to keep playing it until it's canceled.
Interesting. Yeah, no, that's it's really weird. Yeah, no, it's like Aiden was saying, like, yeah, they definitely have their ear to the ground as far as, what stuff's like really popular, what stuff they want to keep going or, reviving and that sort of thing. So that's another cool thing to see, because when you come to like Cartoon Network proper, like that wasn't something that you typically saw a lot of.
And I feel like they've always just kind of had a good touch with the audience. I don't know. It feels their approach to their marketing always felt way more personal than Cartoon Network, which felt like, okay, this is very much a corporate thing. Whereas Adult Swim, like, this is made by 3 guys in a basement.
Yeah, that's the one thing I love most about Adult Swim is they're just willing to take whatever they'll just make a show. They'll take whatever weird fucking thing that gets handed to them, and they'll usually just say, "Yeah, we'll air it. We'll air it. We'll see what happens." Like fucking I mean, we talk a lot about the good stuff, like because there's a lot of good stuff. There's a lot of classics, but let's not forget that this is also the network that brought us stuff like Assy McGee, King Star King, and Mr. Pickles.
Oh, I love King Star King. I'll defend King Star King at least. Not so much that. Mr. Pickles.
Listen, I'll defend Xavier. I'm not much better.
Oh, people love Xavier.
Xavier's
a popular one.
Yeah, Xavier is something else.
But it's a show that like it wasn't popular at the time, but it's only gotten more and more popular.
Yeah, definition of like a cult classic.
Yeah.
Was just a little too ahead of people's time. A little too ahead of the time.
Yeah. Well, what do you guys think of the original Adult Swim lineup?
I was going to ask.
Favorites among the bunch?
Of those 4?
Well, let's include Aqua Teen, just because it would be weird not to.
So I'm gonna say, out of the original, if we're gonna include Aqua Teen in the original, let's say 7 shows, Aqua Teen is like hands down the best in my opinion, just because like I watched the shit out of that show. I still think it's hilarious when I go back and watch clips. I'm pretty sure I own at least the first 4 volumes of DVD somewhere.
Yeah, I mean, there's a reason it was their biggest show.
And why it's getting brought back for another movie.
Yeah.
Is it?
Is it?
Holy shit, I didn't know that.
They're doing a movie for Aqua Teen, Metalocalypse, and Venture Brothers.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
I knew about Venture Brothers and Metalocalypse. I didn't know Aqua Teen was getting another one. Holy shit.
Aqua Teen's getting a spin-off, too. They're doing, like, little shorts for it.
That's
really
funny.
I didn't hear about that.
Yeah, it's, like, I forget the name. It's something convoluted and fun.
Right, like
it's like aqua something side pieces.
Yeah, because that was something in Aqua Teen's later years where they were retitling their show every season, right?
Aqua Unit Patrol Squad.
Aqua something you'd already know, or something.
Something.
It was something dumb like that. But yeah, I'd say of the original 7, because I've gone back and watched all of these shows, not in their entirety, but I've watched like episodes and like bits of them here and there. I don't know if it's a part of it's nostalgia, but I still think Space Ghost is my favorite of the original lineup.
Space Ghost is great.
Space Ghost is it's a fun show. Like, I don't know, there's just something about the energy of like these random these celebrity guests talking and interacting with these 3 cartoon characters, and just weird, wacky shit happens.
My opinion of Space Ghost Coast to Coast is a little complicated because, like, I liked it a lot for a long time, and I actually don't really like the direction it went in after it went to Adult Swim. I feel like it got a little too weird, and like it worked for shows like Aqua Teen, but it felt a little forced with something like Space Ghost Coast to Coast. But that being said, it did still have a lot of funny episodes when it went to Adult Swim. The Bjork episode is a classic.
One of my favorite episodes is admittedly probably the weirdest episode of the whole bunch, and that's just the episode where like
he's following a fire ant.
It's just that he's interviewing Conan O'Brien, and then there's like 11 minutes of Space Ghost just following a fire ant.
It's so good
as he makes little mouth noises to himself.
Every now and then, just occasionally saying something like, ants are so stupid. It's so... Anytime they play that episode is a treat. There's another episode called Warren that it's a triple-length episode, and the reason for that is that it loops through the episode twice after the first time. It's the same episode. Nothing changes. But
it's just on 3 times.
Yeah, the episode ends where it started, so it loops twice.
Oh man, I don't remember that one.
And there's no changes to it. It's not like it's funnier on when it loops, but just the fact that it loops is so good.
I think it's just one of those things of like, when it happens the first time, it's like, okay, this is weird. But then when it happens the second time, it's like, okay, at some point there's got to be some changes. And the joke is that no, there is no change.
Nope. It's just the same episode 3 times.
That reminds me of the shit, because, okay, I'm gonna bring it up, because it did air on Adult Swim recently. That's like the shit that Pop Team Epic does, where they'll have just, like, every episode is, like, 22 minutes long, but only because they just repeat one of the episodes with different voice actors.
Yeah. JD said Aqua Teen, Aiden said Space Ghost. What about you, Dustin?
You know what? I don't think it's my favorite of the bunch, but I feel like it's the most underrated of the original shows. I'm gonna throw out some love for the Brack Show.
I had a feeling.
Yeah, the Brack Show's fun.
The Brack Show's great. The thing about the Brack Show is it's not really as adult as the other ones. It's weird, it's bizarre, but it's a little tame compared to all the other shows, which is fine. I still think it's very funny, and I don't think it would have worked if they just went like full on raunchy with Brack. But yeah, I love the Brack Show. I think it's one of the easier to get into Adult Swim shows. They have the rap battle episode. That's a good one.
It's kind of funny because we were dicking around on HBO Max the other night. And we just started watching through some like old Adult Swim stuff. It started out as Justin, you'll be happy to know I introduced my wife to the joy that is Joe Pera.
Oh, good.
We literally just watched like the episode where he goes to breakfast.
That's one of the best ones to start with.
And it's just so goddamn wholesome.
I played that episode for some of my friends the other day because like I was hanging out with some friends and like one of them was starting to pass out and it was like, you know what? I got the perfect thing for that. And I just put on like a couple episodes of Joe Pera and like, it's
so calming.
It's it's great because like to me, okay, well, is this what, I don't know. I feel like
we'll come back to Joe Pera. Don't you worry.
We'll come back to that.
What I was saying is that we got on this binge and we just like started flipping through a couple different Adult Swim shows. And we watched the first episode of the Brack Show, and I've never really seen the Brack Show. I've always just seen it as like the weird spin-off cousin of Space Ghost. And like I always remembered it being a lot more raunchier, like in the vein of like Aqua Teen or stuff. But like other than like Zorak saying a few not exactly swear words, like it's pretty wholesome. Like you could probably get away with playing it on later in the day.
Yeah, Zorak kind of plays so the Brack Show takes place when Brack and Zorak are in high school. It's kind of like a Leave It to Beaver-esque parody.
It's supposed to be called Leave It to Brack, right?
Yeah, at first the series started, they would every episode had a different sitcom parody name. Brack and the Family, stuff like that. But they dropped that pretty fast. They were eventually like, all right, well, maybe let's just stick with the Brack Show.
Right.
But Zorak's kind of the asshole kid who's a bad influence on Brack. Brack is the beaver who it's left to type.
He's a very special child.
It's great. You get classic Brack songs. The Brack Show is actually what made me interested in Adult Swim because like I saw the commercial for it, and at first I was like, oh, okay, cool. But then the Brack Show showed up, and then I was like, oh. Because my whole family loved Brack, so I made sure to tune in, and thankfully I enjoyed all of the other shows as well.
Sure.
God, yeah, no, I remember really wanting to watch the Brack Show back when I heard about that being one of the things, but my parents never let me because according to them, they're like, no, Adult Swim is too stupid for you. It'll make you stupid. Well, joke's on them. I'm already stupid.
Got him.
Got him.
I gotta say.
Sorry. Go ahead.
No, I gotta say, like, it's really hard to pick. If we're discounting Cowboy Bebop entirely, which I think we should, because it's a licensed thing. If we're talking just William Street's originals, I gotta give it to Harvey Birdman. I think of that watch up, Harvey is like my favorite of those. I think it's just the one that I've revisited more. Like, I would say Harvey Birdman, and then C-Lab is like a very close second, just because. And that's another thing too, is that a lot of these shows definitely they and this is actually the reason why we decided not to do for like individual episodes on all these shows, because we figured because they're so integral to like Adult Swim's like identity and stuff that it would be much better suited to just do like a over encompassing show, because a lot of the sort of content and humor and everything in a lot of these shows is very similar. So I don't know, but aside from talking about specific bits about the episodes you love, like it's a lot of the same type of stuff, which is not to that's not a bad thing, because that's kind of what Adult Swim built its whole brand on. So, it clearly worked, and, I'm a fan of a lot of this stuff, but it's just something that's definitely worth mentioning.
Mm-hmm.
But for Harvey specifically, because it is different from, C-Lab and Space Ghost and Aqua Teen and stuff that used, and home movies that used a lot of that sort of, like the Made in Flash or like puppet animation type of stuff. Moving them across the screen. Harvey Birdman was actually, I'm sure he used a lot of that too, but it was a bit more dynamic as far as how it depicted, characters and stuff. Not that much more dynamic, but still enough where you wouldn't be able to mistake it for, any of the other shows. And plus it was, we went into this a little bit during the, Jellystone episode, but it was really fun to see a lot of these characters that you were so familiar with from watching them on reruns on Cartoon Network done like in an adult show where they're like putting them in real world type of like legal situations and stuff.
Yeah.
And
Go ahead.
No, I was gonna say, just to see the characters sort of like remade and rebranded to work within this context was just a very funny thing to me.
Yeah, it kind of felt like it was Cartoon Network spilling over into the Adult Swim part. Because, like, you had a lot of original stuff like Aqua Teen and home movies, but this and, like, Brack Show and Space Ghost felt like, okay, so this is still Cartoon Network. It's just a more adult side of it.
Yeah, exactly.
And it makes sense since I think the early days of Adult Swim were ran by the people who ran Cartoon Network at the time, like Mike Lazo. You saw a lot of Adult Swim-esque stuff just on the main channel too. Like they did Night of the Living Do, Scooby-Doo Project, etc., etc. They really went the extra mile for giving these blocks personality.
Was Boo Boo Runs Wild on Adult Swim, or was that on Cartoon Network?
It was made for Cartoon Network, but it aired later on Adult Swim.
Okay, I couldn't remember. Yeah, because like you said, there was a lot of spillover. So
yeah, they did that with a lot of things. Night of the Living Do aired on Adult Swim once. The John K. Yogi Bear shorts. I think there might have been a couple other things, but those are the big ones that stick out in my head. Those were like first year Adult Swim stuff when they didn't have a whole lot of shows to fill in.
Yeah,
the block every week. Oh man, what a time! Those early days of Adult Swim are very interesting since I mean, I guess it's not that different from today since you still kind of get this, but like they had those Cartoon Network specials, but they also aired a lot of pilots for things. They had one called like the Lewis Lectures. They aired the Groovenians.
Dustin loves him some Groovenians.
Oh, don't get me started on the Groovenians. We'll be here all night. But yeah, Welcome to Eltingville aired in like that first year.
I wish they would have gone on to do a whole show.
Same. But going back to Harvey Birdman, did you guys know that Harvey Birdman is kind of a spin-off of Space Ghost Coast to Coast?
Yeah.
Yes, actually.
Because the name Harvey Birdman comes from that when they had Birdman was... Yeah, he was the 6-piece chicken McNobody.
Yeah, I was just Birdman was part of like probably one of my favorite moments from Space Ghost, where we called him a 6-piece chicken McNobody.
Classic. One thing I will
good.
say about like the old, especially like the first couple of shows were stuff like, I just like the Brack Show, C-Lab, and Space Ghost, and Harvey Birdman to a lesser extent, is that it always kind of felt like they just kind of had like, okay, what do we have to just kind of work with as a show? And it's like they're just kind of digging around in like the old Hanna-Barbera assets and just using those assets to make something weird and bizarre with them. Like C-Lab is probably the best example because it's just like the it's like the, I guess, edited footage and like various bits from C-Lab 2020, but but like now it's its own show. And
Yeah.
I love that vibe about early Adult Swim when it comes to like how they produced it.
Same. I love early Adult Swim. I really wish I wish you could like, so a lot of these shows are on HBO Max now, which is great, but I really wish you could make like a playlist of them so you could kind of make your own Adult Swim block.
Honestly, I've been wanting that from the streaming services for ages, and
doesn't that seem like such a no-brainer for streaming services?
Matt, didn't you and I talk about this recently?
Yeah, because apparently, hey, shout out to Ellie. I complain a lot about streaming services on here, and hey, listen, they're going to be worth complaining about until they fix their shit and give us features that we want. And
exactly.
And today, it's a playlist feature, so get on that.
I would love to, because like it's easy enough to just pick a show and just go through the show. But what I want to do is just set up a playlist of just a grab bag of shows. I want to make my own Adult Swim schedule.
Yeah, because basically, literally all I want is like, I want to be able to plug in like, okay, here's 10 different shows, shuffle them, it just shuffle them randomly to me. But I want these specific 10 shows.
I have been like hoping to God for just a randomizer button on like some streaming platform.
Well, Netflix kind of does. They have like a watch something, and it'll just play you something random based on your.
But
like,
no, fuck that. What if I'm watching like an episodic series? What if I'm watching something that's more episodic, and I don't want to go through a whole binge?
Yeah, exactly.
I just want to like fucking turn on a random episode.
Right.
Like, they already have a thing in place. Like, a lot of these services, you can add stuff to a watch list. Well, just let you be able to do that and just fucking title the playlist something, and then just be able to, shuffle from it or put it in whatever order. Like,
It seems like it should be easy. I mean, I don't know how to run a streaming service, but like, you can make a list of shows. On HBO Max, even, you can make a list of selected episodes. Like, just make it so you can make separate lists on top of that.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know. What do I know? I don't run a streaming service.
Yeah. They don't pay us for that.
Yeah. I feel like the last bit that we should talk about in regards to Adult Swim as a whole before we start getting into specific shows is we definitely need to bring up their April Fool's jokes, because it definitely becomes something of legend now.
It is a welcome sight every year.
It's a blasty blast every time.
I look forward to it every year.
I feel like in more recent years they haven't been, as because like when you start looking back at like some of the original ones they did, where they got like really into what they were doing, like I kind of get the thought behind it, not wanting to get comprehensive about it now, but like when you're looking back at older ones where like they were drawing mustaches on every single show that they were showing that night, or dubbing over like whole shows with like farting sound effects, like
I mean, honestly, I think this is just because of how notorious this movie's become. I find it absolutely hilarious how many years in a row they just played The Room.
Yeah.
They did it a lot.
And what made it better, and if I'm remembering this right, is when the year the Aqua Teen movie was come out, they played it in its entirety in a tiny little box in the corner while they played The Room underneath it.
I think I vaguely remember that as a kid.
It was like this little like 50 by 50 little box in the bottom corner of the screen. That was playing the entire Aqua Teen movie with the sound off, but it was just placed on top of The Room.
That's so incredible.
Well, I would say the most notable April Fool's joke that they did, which led to something more substantial, was Toonami was gone for a long time, and for April Fool's one year, they brought back Toonami, and it was received so well that they just brought back Toonami like for good.
God, I remember that.
And it hasn't left yet.
Yeah.
I remember like vividly, because like they didn't just bring back Toonami, they also played like nothing but old like anime that would have played on Toonami back in the day.
Yeah, this was before they brought it back as a block where they would air like newer shows. They specifically aired like old Toonami shows like Tenchi, Dragon Ball Z, etc., etc. Yeah.
And they were just reusing like old Tom 3 footage and redubbing over it.
Yeah, nowadays they have new Tom, but
I think we're on Tom 5 or 6 by now. I don't know which one
that's a lot
Tom
of
we're
Toms.
But it's cool to see that they're still, running with that, because they could have easily not, just brought it back for special occasions, but reinvigorate it and present it in context. Because, Toonami was not originally an Adult Swim thing. It was something on just Cartoon Network proper. But, with the being able to work within Adult Swim and air more adult anime and stuff without having to censor much and everything, it actually works in its favor.
It wasn't, and this is completely off topic, but it wasn't exact. I don't think it was with Adult Swim, but I do remember Toonami having like a Saturday night block, it was called Midnight Run, and I think that's when they played some of the more action intense.
I very vividly remember like the two, because I may not have been allowed to watch.
You haven't lived until you watched Dragon Ball and Batman the Animated Series back to back.
Oh, definitely. I may not have been allowed to watch Adult Swim growing up as a kid, but Toonami was fair game. That was.
Well, Toonami was on during the day, so.
Yeah. Well, Toonami, and during the night, but I also remember one of the few times my parents actively let me stay up late at night. And this is technically this was back when I was a small kid, so this wasn't when Toonami was on Adult Swim, but I'm going to bring it up anyway because I think it kind of counts. But back when they played Daft Punk and Gorillaz music video.
Hell yeah.
That was no shit. With little 4-year-old Aiden, that was my exposure to music as a concept.
What an exposure.
That's my God, tell me about it.
I think on archive.org you can find someone uploaded the whole block, commercials and all of that.
Oh man, I gotta find that block, because there were some other. I remember they played a few other music videos that I've never been able to find. But yeah, no, they were classic.
Yeah,
and I remember because I especially watched a lot of a lot of Adult Swim back around middle school and junior high, back when I was super into anime. Because although Toonami wasn't there, they were still doing anime blocks just on Adult Swim separately on Saturday nights.
Yeah.
But without Toonami, there's definitely something missing when you're not watching it on there.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm glad that they've kept Toonami going for as long as they could, as long as they have so far. Even though nowadays everybody just watches anime on streaming.
Yeah. One of my favorite Adult Swim April Fools. I don't know if it's my most favorite, but one of them. I'm sure we all know Bushworld Adventure.
Oh, God. Yo, that's actually my favorite Adult Swim.
Go to Bendigo, Morty.
Morty, I did some science to me portal gun.
No, I turned it into a real gun.
I gotta go get me cube.
My soul transferred into the family. I'm Barry.
Unfucking believable.
You're a fucking legend.
My favorite part in the whole thing is when they get to the wombat hole and they find the goblins. And one of the goblins goes gala 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 gala, and then it just shows Rick making this weird face, and he goes, "Oh yeah,
oh yeah."
Oh, yeah. Every single line in it is quotable. Every single part.
I make it a habit to try to rewatch Bushland Adventures at least once every 3 months.
I'm probably gonna watch it again after this.
We'll talk about Rick and Morty proper a little bit later, just because that is definitely, I think, Adult Swim's breakout, show.
Yeah, I mean it's no Bushworld Adventures, but it's still pretty good.
Jeremy Snow here, owner and editor-in-chief of The Geekly Grind. I'm interrupting your awesome, regularly scheduled programming to ensure that you know about our Geekly Grind podcast network, of which this show is a treasured member of. If you haven't had a chance to check out our site, you can do so at www.thegeeklygrind.com, and while you're there, check out the other members of our steadily growing podcast family, including the anime-centric Blake and Spencer Get Jumped, discovering new heroes and comic book keepers with Chris and Lance, exploring the vast universe of geekdom with Geeksploration, or of course appreciating animation's finer details with the Ink and Paint Club. Escape your weekly grind at the Geekly Grind.
Yeah, I mean, unless anybody else wants to bring up any other April Fool's shenanigans, I guess we can start getting into the actual, our favorite shows from the network.
Well,
yeah, why don't we do that?
Kind of transitioning, you guys want to start off by talking about Rick and Morty?
Yeah,
Okay.
sure.
Yeah, sure.
I mean, God, what is there to say about everyone that's fucking watched Rick and Morty now?
Like we did an episode on Rick and Morty, like probably within like the first 20 episodes of this podcast. So it has been a long while. But it is weird from then to now seeing how Rick and Morty has evolved into just like a pop culture phenomenon. And it is Adult Swim's bread and butter now.
They
I'll
were
be
in
honest.
Space Jam and in Fortnite.
They
I'll
sure
be
were.
completely honest. I have not watched Rick and Morty since like season 3. I think I gave a little bit of season 4 a chance, but the way the show overall evolved, just I don't know. It has not been for me.
I haven't watched it since season 2, I think. I haven't checked on anything else since then because people have always shat on it, so I figured, oh, maybe, I'll get around to it someday, but, I have fond memories about those first 2.
I am completely caught up. Like season 5 just ended like last week. I remember season 4 being okay. Season 5 was weird.
Season 5 I felt like it started off really strong, but then it had some of the like absolute worst episodes mixed in there too.
I felt like, especially after the first episode and when it was getting more into the middle of the season, every episode was built around, okay, we're going to make a parody of something. So it was like a Voltron parody. Here's the Hellraiser parody. It did like, I like Rick and Morty when it is maybe pulling off some tropes of science fiction and weird things, but not like wholesale, like parodying them.
Yeah. I really did not care for the Voltron episode.
You know what? Yeah, it was weird. I swear they sold the season on like, oh, we're doing an episode based around Voltron, and like,
and we're gonna do the same stale anime jokes in it.
Yeah, it's just like I thought I could. Oh, this could be fun, but yeah, when I at the end of it, and I'm like, okay, that was all right, I guess.
What is it? 2005? Want to throw in some Speed Racer and Sailor Moon references while you're at it?
Yeah, I mean, kinda, yeah. But I mean, I still enjoy it though. But
yeah, overall, I feel like it was a good season. But my favorite Rick and Morty episode, the one with all the parasites,
oh, yeah.
Ooh, yeah.
all the wacky, fun characters, Pencilvester, Reverse Giraffe, Photography Raptor.
Oh, look at all these wacky characters. It's like a weird Where's Waldo poster. You see me?
That's the one they did for their April Fools this year, the Adult Swim Junior we were talking about earlier. They dubbed over that episode with little kid voices, and it was so good.
It was very good. I loved it.
Of all the episodes they could have picked, they picked the one with the most characters to use.
I'm gonna be a basic bitch. My favorite episode, and really episodes, are the fucking interdimensional
Pickle
cable.
Rick, yeah. Oh yeah, that's what I meant.
No, I'll be honest. I don't hate Pickle Rick. The episode.
I don't either. I think it's a
fun
good episode.
I just hate what it's become.
I
hate
love
the
what
fact
it's become.
That it's been poisoned by toxicity. That it's been poisoned by irony is the problem.
Yeah, I have an ironic love for Pickle Rick. The fact that it's
Dustin has 2 Pickle Rick emojis in his server.
yeah.
I mean, that's true.
The fact that it's such a shitty meme is what makes it so funny.
I can see that. I've just gotten kind of sick of it.
Yeah,
But, like,
I mean, the episode on its own, I think, is actually good.
Yeah, it's a really solid episode overall. I just don't like the meme. But yeah, no, I'm a big fan of the interdimensional cable episodes because those are just the episodes where they just get weird. It's
a 20-minute improv session.
Yeah, it's 20 minutes of just them improving and then just coming up with weird shit on the fly, and I think that's funny.
Well, the funniest thing about interdimensional cable is not the concepts they come up with is when you hear Justin Roiland breaking in the middle of it.
Yeah.
My favorite bit in the entirety of it is when he fucking it's during the Garfield one. I can't remember what.
Zorpazorp Field.
Zorpazorp Field. Thank you.
I hate my Mumba Dunce days.
But sure could go. Wow, fuck you, John. You dumb, stupid piece of.
You know, Gazorpazorp Field, you said some mean things to me, but that takes the cake.
I don't give a fuck. I'm Gazorpazorp fucking Field, bitch. I'll get you my goddamn enchiladas.
I have a couple favorite interdimensional cable moments.
Well, we're talking about Adult Swim, not just about Rick and Morty. So maybe
we'll get to the rest.
Yeah.
Baby legs and I forget what the skit is, but it's when they're talking about a restaurant of some kind.
Little bits.
Yeah,
Little
little bits. He
bits.
says, "Eat some fucking shit, you little bitch." Haha, just
Fucking
kidding.
bits. I love that one.
Follow up the haha, just kidding.
Oh my god.
Good stuff.
So yeah, I don't know. Rick and Morty is like, it is very much a mixed bag nowadays. Not so much where it was like, I feel it was very consistently solid the first couple seasons. Now it's like, if you're into it, you know, it's still good. If Rick and Morty really wasn't your thing, then it's really not your thing now.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it happens. But hey,
Yeah.
they got 50 more episodes to turn things around.
Oh,
boy.
Jesus, is that
Oh
what their
my
order is now?
God.
Yeah, they
Oh.
ordered 7 seasons at once.
Holy shit. Well,
Yeah.
That goes to show you how fucking popular Rick and Morty. Like, yeah, like I said, I think Rick and Morty might be the biggest show that Adult Swim has ever done.
And
I
you know
mean-
what? You go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say, I bet they're really glad they had a surprise hit with Rick and Morty now that they're losing Family Guy.
And you
Yeah.
know what? In my opinion, I'd say let them keep making Rick and Morty episodes, because this is probably what's letting them have the fucking budget and the ability to just greenlight whatever other cool stuff that comes out. So
Yeah.
I'm okay with
exactly.
Rick and Morty going on for literally just Rick and Morty forever. Fuck it, why not?
Rick and Morty, 100
forever,
seasons.
100 years.
100 years Rick and Morty.
So, does anybody else want to just throw one out there to talk
I
about?
got one. I got
Sure.
one. And the reason I'm going to throw it out is because I don't want to talk about it too much, because we already talked about it before. But one time in ye old 2003, one of my friends invited me over to their house, and they're like, "Dude, you have to check out this show that aired on Adult Swim last night. I recorded it. Let's watch it." And that was the first time I ever watched Fully Cooley, one of my favorite things ever made.
Yeah, and we did a whole episode on
Yeah,
Fully Cooley,
so I
and
don't want to go into it a whole lot, but I
we
just
spent
want
2 hours on that episode. So
Yeah. but
talk
it's
about
my
Fully Cooley.
favorite.
Go
it's my-
go listen to that episode.
Yeah, I just wanted to bring it up for this little bit because you know it's my
bits.
favorite. I have very strong. Well, I'm sure I said it on the episode. Go listen to
did.
that episode.
Yeah. Speaking of Adult Swim shows that we've done prior episodes on, I want to throw out there Primal and Metalocalypse. Those are 2 other shows that we've done episodes on already that I would
only
consider.
just recently watched through all of Primal and I loved it.
Oh, yeah, I
need
know, it's
to start
amazing.
Primal, because it is on my back burner.
Yeah,
It's worth watching for sure. And then
very much.
and Metalocalypse, as far as like any of the Adult Swim shows go, where they use like I don't know, I feel like it's a great extension of that William Street style of animation, where like, but they got like really detailed with it. And I don't know, just everything else about that too. Like I said, for the talk on Primal and Metalocalypse, we did shows on those ones as well, so you can go and listen to those.
Yeah.
As far as something that we haven't done any full shows on, how about China, Illinois?
Ooh, that's an
man.
interesting pick.
It is too bad Kyle's not here.
I feel
It's one of his favorite shows.
I love Brad Neely, man. I was so fucking hyped when I heard he was getting his own show.
a fun fact: Brad Neely's actually from around where I live.
Oh, really?
Ooh.
Yeah, he actually went to it wasn't college here in Fayetteville, but I think he was from Fort Smith, Arkansas, which is like not too far away from where I live.
Wow.
So yeah. And yeah, I love Brad Neely's work. I gotta be real though, I haven't watched a whole lot of China, Illinois.
I haven't either. I need to watch more of it.
I don't know. I feel weird about China, Illinois. I really love the show, but I feel like the original like stuff that Brad Neely was doing for Super Deluxe, that they would air on commercials for Adult Swim and stuff, like Baby Cakes, Professor Brothers, all that sort of stuff. I don't know. I think it's a lot more memorable. But like I said, China, Illinois as a show is still amazing, but I don't think it's as strong as those original things that it's based on.
I wonder if it's because since they're shorts, they kind of stick with you a little long.
I suppose so. Yeah.
I guess that explains why, like, eventually Brad Neely ended up getting his own little series of shorts, which I had on my list because I freaking love his variety show, which is Hargnal and Scoliopipio, which I still don't know what the fuck that means, but I don't care.
Does it mean anything?
Hilarious.
I like
Yeah.
what I saw of it. I haven't seen that much, but
yeah, same here.
I mean, it's one of those where like you only really need to watch like one episode to get an idea where the fucking of what kind of stuff goes on in it.
Yeah,
But
you
like
get it.
it is just like Brad Neely just had a bunch of other ideas for shorts and for like funny little bits, and you know you end up with and you end up with like things like preteen girl with a predator head, which is just about a preteen girl who has a predator head.
It
Or
speaks for
one of
itself.
or one of my favorite recurring gags, which is this band playing in a bar called Fruit Blood, and they're all wearing like S&M gear and shit, and they're playing songs like "Don't Make Me Laugh," "I'm Trying to Climax."
Those are the bits that I've seen from the show, and I do really enjoy those.
They are so goddamn funny, and I regularly reference them a lot, like more than I should.
JD, you want to throw one out?
So I don't know if anyone else likes this show, but I find I've not watched it in a while, but I find it so fucking hilarious because of the writing. I want to talk about Mike Tyson Mysteries for a minute.
Yeah, Mike Tyson Mysteries great.
Mysteries is amazing.
Like, I love that it is just a send up of all these fucking celebrity cartoons, but from back in the day, and it is drawn in this very Scooby-Doo style, but it's animated by Warner Brothers, so it's like actually really well animated, and like it's actually Mike Tyson. Voices himself, and like
it appears at the end in live action too.
He does. It has like a Talk with Mike section for a split second, but like I don't know if they get Mike Tyson to say this ridiculous stuff and he doesn't understand, or if he just has really good comedic timing. Just the combination of all these characters, his like fucking adopted Chinese daughter. They have a Victorian ghost,
Pigeon,
and Pigeon.
Norm Macdonald. Norm Macdonald.
Yeah, they just go like he has a pigeon coop, and he gets messenger pigeons with little notes attached to him about how people need him to come solve a mystery for them, and they get in the mystery van. And
well, the best thing about the pigeon thing is that's taken from real life because
he actually
raised pigeons. Yeah, Mike Tyson raised pigeons like as a youth.
Yeah, and real human minds were put into pigeon bodies.
It's so fucking ridiculous, but just the fact that they know it's stupid and how smart they can be about it, and like just how clever the writing is, like it fucking kills me.
I remember
they can just run with it.
I remember there was like this one like talking with Tyson bit at the end. It's from the episode where they bring on Neil deGrasse Tyson, and the joke of that episode is that like they're related. And at the end, Mike Tyson's just like, yeah, I'm related to all the Tysons. He's going off all these Tysons, and like at the end, he's like, and can't forget Tyson chicken. And he says it with such honesty.
He does everything with a straight face.
It's so fucking funny.
There's so many great bits on that show, but there's one that specifically stands out in my mind whenever I think of Mike Tyson Mysteries is there's a scene where I think they're like at a hotel reception, and the daughter goes to ring like a service bell, and you can see Mike and Marcus in the background, and she dings the bell, and fucking a split second later, Mike takes a fighting stance and fucking socks like Marcus.
Literally, anytime a bell rings, Mike Tyson has to punch somebody.
It's that specific one though that like I would think of. It's
that also reminds
good.
me of one of my other favorite bits from the show, which is where Mike Tyson's got like, I just suddenly got this fight or flight response, and he's just running up these stairs punching people while saying fight or flight. And he's just punching like old ladies and shit. It's great.
It's a great show. It's
wonderful.
Super good. I'll throw one out here. How about I feel like this is another one that's very tied in with like Adult Swim's DNA now, but Robot Chicken.
Yeah, that it still baffles me that show is still on and making new episodes.
It has new episodes going like right now, this second.
I remember.
You're listening to this episode. There's probably a new episode of Robot Chicken on.
Yeah.
As we're recording this, there's definitely a new episode of Robot Chicken on. But
they're doing like a new episode every day for like the next 2 weeks.
But there is like the best way I could describe my personal opinions of Robot Chicken, I could describe with one of the more recent, not the last April Fool's gag, but the one beforehand where they had Post Malone do a bunch of like season reveals and pilot reveals, which is where we got another thing. I'm sure we're gonna where we got
Oh.
smiling friends. Which,
Spoiler.
yes, spoiler.
Sorry.
But it's just he sees Robot Chicken is like, man, they still making these? And like, yeah, honestly, that's how I feel.
It's been on since 2005.
Yeah.
Since I was a
They're still
freshman in
making
high
these.
school.
Oh, jeez.
I just like, I don't know. I watched it a lot because like, especially back in times when I didn't have internet, when I was like visiting family that didn't really have good internet, I would always just leave Adult Swim on. And I remember Robot Chicken, it would just be, I would watch it and I just kind of let it wash over me. I didn't really find it very funny or anything like that. It's one of those that kind of happened.
I feel like Robot Chicken's a very good, like, just leave it on in the background show.
Oh, yeah.
It's not to discredit because I really, it was one of my favorite shows, like, growing up with Adult Swim. I haven't watched it, like, any of those new episodes or anything, like, because I haven't had cable or anything. But, you know, I think just the idea that there's, like, a stop motion show on television and it's been running for this long. And there's only been other stop motion shows that have come since this. It was very, very cool to see.
Yeah, I was talking about it with one of my roommates. How other than Robot Chicken, there's no other stop motion shows right now. There used to be tons of them.
Well, I don't know if they're still doing it.
Specifically on Adult Swim, a lot of that stuff came after Robot Chicken. Like, you know, you've got more, and I'm sure you're going to bring up more Orel as one of your shows, but we'll touch on that later. Titan Maximum, Mary Shelley's Frankenhole.
And one personal favorite of mine that I guess I'll just I'll throw it out later is The Shivering Truth. Which,
oh yeah,
that one's just whew, that
show is weird.
I'm not familiar with that one. That's like a newer one.
Yeah, it's okay. Let me the best way I can describe it. Imagine if Xavier Renegade Angel just did the Twilight Zone.
Oh wow,
it is a weird goddamn show, and I don't know how to feel about it.
It's fucking weird. It's horrifying, and I love everything about it.
It unnerves me in a very strange way, and I'm uncomfortable.
Very unnerving. But yeah, I love it. It's very interesting to see what they do. It's very surrealist.
It's the kind of like surrealist abstract horror that I absolutely adore. That Adult Swim is very willing to just try out and do. And they've done that with a couple of other things. And I want to at least briefly mention some of their, because it's technically a series, I want to at least briefly mention some of their infomercials where they really go into the absurdist and surreal abstract horror. Like
live unedited footage of a bear.
Unedited footage of a bear, Too Many Cooks, and personal favorite. Yeah. My favorite of them all, which is This House Has People in It, which is if y'all have never delved into the rabbit hole that is This House Has People in It, it is a fucking rabbit hole to delve into.
Isn't there like over 2 hours of additional footage to find?
Yeah, it is dense. There is like crazy. 2 hours of additional footage, all of which kind of like add to the weird story that's being told.
Yeah.
It's a
oh, go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say it's a fucking trip, and if you've never experienced it, definitely like pause this podcast, go find This House Has people in it, watch that.
Go watch all 2 hours of it.
Yeah, maybe listen to the podcast and then go do that.
Yeah, listen to the podcast, but you can multitask.
Keep it in the back of your mind.
You.
Yeah.
Though you bring it up, I do want to circle back on Too Many Cooks because I feel like that kind of blew up unexpectedly.
Yeah.
And that's just becoming a recurring joke between a friend of mine and I, so much that I fucking bought him a mug with the killer face on it, with him just doing his little smug at the camera. So he has a coffee mug, and apparently he's also like met that guy and like is friends with him on Facebook now. That's
awesome.
He's just an actor, man. He's just a weird dude.
He's just a weird looking dude who happened to be in this. That's cool.
Too Many Cooks is definitely the most popular one of these infomercials. But
yeah.
So the other day I watched through like all of them. They just have all of them on HBO Max. I just had it on while I was working. And I have two favorites. My first favorite, well, I don't know which one I prefer over the other, but the first one I'll bring up is Cool Dad. It's kind of a more obscure one. Not a lot of people bring it up, but basically it's a bunch of like video previews, like coming soon on video cassette, and it's like they're different movies, but they're like starring the same people. They're all essentially the same movie about a kid making a wish about something about his dad, and it changes his dad somehow. Like the first one is Cool Dad. He wishes his dad was cool, and then his dad becomes cool, and it's just wacky shenanigans with his dad being cool. Then the next one is he wishes his dad understood Thanksgiving, and so he becomes Thanksgiving. It does that thing where it's like, now he's about to find out, and then it shows him like look into the mirror, and he's like, I'm Thanksgiving.
So this is basically that episode of South Park where they did the Rob Schneider like,
and he's about to find it.
It's basically that, yes. And then like the trailers just get more and more crazy. It's
I think I've
great.
seen this one. Now that you're describing it, I think I've definitely seen this one.
It sucks because it's one of the only ones that's not still on YouTube, so I can't like share it with people because it's only on HBO Max.
I'll have to check that one out. I might have seen it before. I can't remember.
It's great, but my other favorite. Do you guys remember? So recently, Adult Swim shut down their streams, which sucks. But do you guys remember Pitch Meeting?
Yes.
No, you know what? I think Kyle was trying to do something with that.
Yeah, people would call in and pitch things. The only thing that ever got made from these pitch meetings was a little short called Skeleton Landlord. I don't know if any of you were familiar with Skeleton Landlord.
I don't
can't
think
say
so.
that I am.
Oh, that one doesn't ring a bell.
Well, watch it.
Okay.
It's very funny. It's one of my new favorite things ever made. It's basically like Bushworld Adventures, where I'll just quote it. I'll just quote like various things from it. Which I will refrain from doing now because they just won't land with any of you. But you better believe after you all watch it, I will be quoting Skeleton Landlord.
I'm looking forward to it.
Can't wait.
Oh, let's see. Superjail.
Hell yeah!
Superjail's a
yeah.
classic.
Yeah, and that one was just insane to see because, like I mentioned before, with a lot of Adult Swim shows, had this very familiar style to it, where they were reusing animation or not doing like ton of frames in between types of stuff. Whereas you got like Superjail, which is like every single frame is like animated like just so extravagantly, like. And it's such a weird, like, colorful show, and there's just gore everywhere. And
like Superjail fought at least from what I've seen of it, I only saw like maybe the first 2 seasons, maybe. It is just every episode ends with a bloody gore bloodbath, but it is done in the most creative way possible, and it's different every time.
Yeah.
It's a show they can just basically do whatever they want with.
Pretty much.
I think it was revealed at was it the very last episode where it was like live action, and it was a dude dressed like the wardens, like drinking in a trash can. Like, was it revealed that it was all just a hallucination or something?
Oh, geez.
Yeah. No, that shit was great. It's been a long time since I revisited it, but I was just like, oh man, I remember how popular Superjail was back when it was airing. So
yeah, lots of people love Superjail. It was one of those shows you would see people bring up on Twitter a lot.
Yeah. It's just in regards to just the animation alone, but I feel like there's a lot, there's a lot that was had going for it. That was very nice.
I need to watch the last season. I think I only saw the first 3.
I can't remember if I've seen the last season either, but yeah, no, it's definitely a show that I would like to revisit sometime.
Yeah.
Anyone
else have anything to say about Superjail? Because if not, this is a perfect segue into the next show I want.
Which one?
I can probably guess what the next show you're about to segue into is, but go on.
Ballmasters 9009 by the same creator, Christy Caracas. I adore. So when I talk about my top favorite Adult Swim shows, this is probably in the top 3.
Wow.
Yeah, no, I'm in the same ballpark.
Hey.
But yeah, no, like Ballmasters is fucking phenomenal. This is just. It's like if Adult Swim and Toonami had a fucked up child together.
Yeah, that's the perfect way to
awesome.
describe it.
So I have a question, because I haven't actually gotten to see Ballmasters yet. Are the Superjail people involved in that show? Just from what I've seen. Okay.
Same creator.
Okay, it looked very similar, but I wasn't sure if that was just a coincidence or anything. But okay, cool.
Yeah,
that's cool to see that.
Christy Caracas.
Okay, awesome. Yeah, then I'll definitely have to check it out because yeah, no, it looks very interesting. Everything I've seen from it is great.
Yeah, I love it. It's very fun. You can describe both this and Superjail this way. I like that Adult Swim has actual cartoons on their block. Like a lot of their shows are kind of, more animated sitcom-y. Some of the shows defy explanation. But
I remember one example I've heard. It was like a talking head show. Like they have a lot of talking head shows.
That's a better example of what I was trying to kind of talk about earlier, as far as like familiarity and like the types of shows that Adult Swim did.
Yeah,
it predominantly has done.
But Superjail and Ballmasters feel like actual cartoons. Like they feel like things you might see on like Cartoon Network if it weren't for the blood and gore and swearing and such.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm really hoping it gets a third season. It's had 2 wonderful seasons. It's been kind of radio silent since then. But if I remember right, season 2 wasn't announced until like a couple weeks before it was going to air.
Yeah, they kind of just dropped, like, they usually announce the seasons and then drop them like a few weeks to a month after they announce them. So if there is a third season, it's likely in the pipeline and we just don't know it. But I really do hope there's a third season because this show is just everything about it. I love the style. I love the crazy like Sakuga animation they do when they go into like the games.
I love all the characters. Just all everyone on the teams.
All the Leptons, and really just all the different teams in general are super fun.
Yeah, it's so good. And I feel like it's, I don't want to say it's like no one ever brings it up, but it feels like kind of an underdog in terms of Adult Swim shows. Obviously, nothing can live up to Rick and Morty, but even Adult Swim doesn't really bring it up that much, but I bring it up. I like it.
Yeah, I mean, it's been brought up enough to where, like, during the premiere of the second season, they had the whole, like, fan call-in type of deal during its premiere.
I tried so hard to get in through that to get one of the Crazar shirts.
I tried so hard to get the little, like, baby ball, but I could not. I just,
That's the most I've ever been pissed off at Adult Swim, because do you guys remember Adult Swim had a shop for a while, as seen on Adult Swim?
Yeah.
Sure. Yeah.
Anything put up on there sells out like in an instant. And the one time it was something I really wanted was that Crazar shirt. I just wanted some sort of Ballmasters merchandise because this is stuff you're not going to find in stores. This isn't like Aqua Teen or Rick and Morty. So I wanted to get one of their shirts. It immediately sells out. And I was like, God damn it. I hate this. I hate Adult Swim and what it's become, that it let this happen to me.
Right. How dare you make a show that I enjoyed that you won't let me buy the merchandise for?
Exactly.
It's funny because, like, I actually own the only piece of Adult Swim merchandise that I own is the one time that the Rickmobile came to my town, like my local comic shop. I got a little like Matchbox Rickmobile, like a little like toy car of it.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's the only piece of Adult Swim merch I own. But like, yeah, cool.
Yeah, I'll definitely have to check out make it more of a priority to check that out. Now that I know that they're actually, has that Superjail connection to it.
Yeah, it's all on HBO Max. Episodes are only 11 minutes, so it wouldn't take too long.
You know what? That's definitely something that we should bring up too. There's the 11-minute episode format, which they
kind of pioneered this.
Yeah, exactly. I didn't really see that as being a thing until Adult Swim.
Mm-hmm.
And now, like, everyone, like, at least as far as network television goes, I mean, because like even Cartoon Network proper started to start doing that sort of thing. Like, I remember when they were releasing new episodes of like Adventure Time and Regular Show and Amazing World of Gumball and stuff, they would release like one episode a week, and it would just be like one half, an 11-minute episode. And I guess that's better for like kind of spreading out, debuts of seasons and stuff. But yeah, nobody was doing that stuff until Adult Swim came around.
And yeah, I honestly wonder if it was because Adult Swim was on for such a short period of time in its beginning, that was a way for them to like, okay, we got all these shows we want to show. If we do these in half-hour chunks, we're not going to be able to show all of them in one night. And also, I kind of feel with the style of a lot of Adult Swim shows, 15 minutes is a good length before it's like, okay, I need something else.
Sure.
Yeah,
Just the
especially
style
for
of
something
humor
like
they have.
Aqua Teen. I feel like maybe Aqua Teen would have been harder to stomach if it was like a full 22 minutes. Maybe
Yeah.
11 minutes really worked out for just those
Oh
kinds
yeah,
of shows.
like I love the Aqua Teen movie, but it definitely works in short segments.
Well,
looking
now
at-
that I think about it, I guess Space Goes Coast to Coast is what started it. Because
Did
Space
it
Goes Coast to
only-
Coast was 11-minute episodes.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah, but
only
did
11 minutes.
did they not debut them like 2 11-minute episodes for a half hour though?
I don't think so. Maybe they did. I know nowadays it's all divided up by the 11 minutes. I can't find like any documentation on like episode pairings or anything.
So we can at least say for certain that William Street like was the pioneer for that in general.
Yeah.
If not at the very start of Adult Swim, at least the precursor.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Anybody else want to throw out a show?
I was gonna throw out. So I know we're talking a lot about shows that are 11 minutes, but I can only really find one show on here on my list that's longer than 11 minutes, and that's the Boondocks.
Yeah.
That's
yeah.
like the one show where like I feel like it deserves to have its 22-minute run.
Oh yeah, no.
That was the first Adult Swim show that actually looked good.
Oh yeah, no, because it was so
Yeah.
bizarre because like it was done like in an anime-ish style, but done with like content that you wouldn't like ever imagine seeing. Like it's just that was when I made the joke about East meets West sort of ideology. Like this is fucking East meets West.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
Mhm.
definitely. But yeah, it's still a really good show. I only watched like 1 or 2 episodes from that 4th season they did, and I immediately said, yeah, you know what?
I
This
think
was a show
I'm good.
I'm
I don't
good.
think I ever
3
watched the
seasons
last
was enough.
season.
Yeah.
3
And if I remember right, I think they're bringing it back for one more.
They are doing one
more,
more
I think.
season for HBO Max. The thing that sucks about that is that I'm not sure if it was clear if John Witherspoon was able to do all of his recording for Granddad.
That's gonna suck because either they don't have Granddad there, which I felt like kind of fit the sort of overall dynamic that Boondocks had going for it.
Mhm.
But even if they did, they'd have to recast him, and I just don't think that's gonna work.
Yeah,
'Cause John Witherspoon had like such a perfect voice for
Oh,
him.
he was so unique, like and
Mhm.
everything, like and he was just wonderful in everything you ever saw him, like the Fridays movies and Boondocks and just like Wayne's Brothers, like and I remember just seeing him like a lot growing up, and it especially sucked when he passed away. Just reminiscing on all the roles that he had, but Boondocks is definitely like his most popular kind of contribution to entertainment for sure.
It's kind of like how in C-Lab 2021, once Captain Murphy's voice actor died, the show just couldn't recover.
Oh, okay.
So I wonder if...
I did want to bring that up because within the last year, I decided to just sit down and watch like the entirety of C-Lab. And Dustin, you hit that nail on the head. Like as soon as Captain Murphy was taken off the show, obviously because his voice actor passed away, it just was not the same show anymore.
Yeah.
Wasn't it something
he's the
where
glue that hold it together?
was it like his son like voiced the character that replaced him or something?
Yeah. And credit to him for trying, but it just didn't work, I think.
Well, it's a funny note to make because if I remember right, I think there was talks about John Witherspoon's son doing Granddad, and I've heard his impression, and it's fucking spot on. Like I
That's
feel
good.
like they could potentially do it. If I remember right, I'm sure it was a son or somebody related.
Mhm.
I'm not against the idea if it's someone who can like nail the voice. It's just one of those cases of
Be damned if you don't.
yeah.
Yeah, you either have the character voiced by somebody else or you don't have the character at all, and either way, it's just kind of a tough pill to swallow. But
Yeah.
not talking about the new season, just Boondocks, just classic, in general, like that's a hell of a show. I love that show.
And it felt so different than what Adult Swim had put out prior to that because it was a comedy, but also a social commentary show.
Yeah, I remember
it wasn't like their straight like stoner comedy kind of shows that they had put out before.
Yeah, it's kind of the first smart Adult Swim show.
Yeah, exactly. It feels like a much smarter show because of its writing, because of the subject matter that they tackled.
And Yeah, and the way that they handle the subject matter with the three main characters both kind of being just different parts of the of that culture, which I thought was really good.
Yeah. So whereas Boondocks kind of tackled a lot of like social issues and stuff, like still in the comedic way, but also in a very serious way. I kind of just want to flip it really quick to another show with a predominantly black production crew and cast and everything, and I would love to talk about Black Dynamite for a second.
Ooh.
Oh yeah.
I have not seen any. I've not seen the movie. I've not seen the cartoon. I feel really bad about it.
One episode of Black Dynamite.
I same. I've only seen one, but I liked it.
Man.
I really want to watch the rest.
Black Dynamite is so great, and I feel like because the cartoon came after there was a live action movie called Black Dynamite, stars Michael J. White and just a bunch of other black comedians and actors and stuff, and it's amazing. But whereas the movie is like a take on blaxploitation movies from the 70s, and it aims very much to try to replicate like how very shoddy the production was on a lot of those movies, and how kind of heavy-handed some of the messages could get and stuff, which it did a very great job of emulating, and that's where a lot of the humor comes from. Black Dynamite is completely like, oh, this is a cartoon based on this movie, so we're gonna blow everything up like out of proportion. Like everything that happens in this show is just like outrageous, and like but it still has all the same actors reprising their roles, but like just the subject matter is so much more. Just off the top of my head, like the movie deals with like typical gangs, drug dealers, corrupt police, that sort of thing. Once you start getting like the cartoon, there's like alien invasion plots and like all this type of shit, and it's all animated so like the look of the show.
So good.
It looks so good.
Literally, all I know about the Black Dynamite show is apparently there is a very ghetto Kermit the Frog character.
I think I remember that. It's been a little bit since I revisited Black Dynamite, but yeah, it's amazing. If you have not seen the movie, definitely go check out the movie and then check out the show and just see like how much different they are, but how equally entertaining they both are too. They're both amazing.
I definitely will. I've been wanting to for a while. The animation is just crazy.
Yeah, no, it's definitely worth checking out.
So I'm sure this is a show that a lot of us hold very dear to our heart, but you guys want to talk about Moral Orel?
Yes.
Yes.
Moral Orel is my absolute favorite thing Adult Swim has ever put out ever.
It is the most, it's wholesome, but it's
like dark wholesome. It's wholesome because
dude, that last season, it puts up until the last second puts you in the most awful depression pit you could imagine.
I want to preface this by saying, while I have seen a lot of Moral Orel, I have not finished it, nor have I watched it in its entirety. So I've seen the first season, I've seen the season finale of that, and that is still the season 1 finale. I still think is one of the few season finales that, like, no matter how many times I've seen it, whether it comes on TV or whether someone else plays it, it always hits the same wave. Just like, well,
like, it's funny because they aired the season finale before the rest of the series, and I remember watching it when it premiered and not liking it because there was just no build-up for it.
Right.
If you watch it the way it's intended, it's wonderful, but boy, what a mistake airing that season finale.
Yeah, and then one day, while I was watching Adult Swim on TV, they just fucking dropped like one of the second to last episodes of season 3. Like the one that has Orel's dad at the bar, where it's just that episode. And it's like,
oh god, yeah.
Despite having so little context, it still worked for me because it's like, oh, this is fucking rough.
It's very hard hitting.
That whole last season just hurts to watch. It will wreck you. Well, especially if you are invested in these characters. Like,
fucking Moral Orel's like a build-up show for sure, and it builds the fuck up.
Yeah, like season 3 is great. Season 3 is the best, but the only way you get like as much as you can out of it is if you watch those first 2 seasons, which are still great too. They're very funny. It's a very funny show from the get-go. But boy, once if you watch all of it and then hit that third season,
and it's such a gradual change because I mean, the first episode is to like
he raises the dead zombies.
Orel becomes a necromancer because he doesn't want the dead to reject the gift of life.
I just
It's
like
so
a lot of season 1, which is what I've seen the most of, is just like because it's just the general funny premise of like a very good Christian boy taking what he learns at church to a little too to heart, and that ends up causing some trouble, and it's really goddamn funny.
Yeah. And it just like it's weird. Just it starts out as this like, oh, that's funny. It's kind of like a fucked up Davy and Goliath. You know, that's funny. But then it turns into like this really like heart wrenching, like really gets you in the feels kind of show. And it's like, how did we get from like Orel raising the dead to being really invested in the potential divorce of his parents?
Yeah.
It's crazy. Orel himself, Orel Puppington, is probably my favorite Adult Swim character of all of them.
He is I think he's one of the best like Adult Swim protagonists they've ever had, because it's just the offset being where like most of Adult Swim characters and protagonists are like really crude, they're like really in
Assholes.
your face. They're
Yeah.
assholes.
Which is
Moral
great.
is
It's funny. There's a lot of funny asshole
yeah,
characters
there's a
on
lot
Adult
of funny
Swim.
assholes on Adult Swim. Moral is the exact opposite of that. He is the
Orel is
goodest,
very pure and
wholesomest
nice.
boy.
Yeah.
And that's what I think like makes a lot of the really fucked up shit in Moral Orel hit even harder, even without context to like what happens in the later parts of the series.
I mean, when you finally see Orel like kind of stand up to his dad, finally, like that's such a turning point for that character.
That character who's just without question followed his father's every word up until then.
Exactly, and then he realizes, like, no, my dad's an asshole alcoholic, and he's kind of a dick.
And I gotta bring up how so Moral Orel ran from 2005 to 2007 or 8. I forget which season which year it ended, but a few years later they brought it back for a one-shot special. 4 years later in 2012, called Before Orel. It was a prequel special. And it was just amazing. It was just so good. It had been 4 years, and they brought it back, and they didn't skip a beat. If anything, it was better. It was crazy. And
yeah, and I'm sad that they had a fourth season planned that was gonna like bring in, or maybe they cut it out of the third season where it was gonna like
the third season. Yeah,
third
season was cut down a lot.
Yeah, they was gonna bring in like Orel's grandfather and like just kind of examine more like the family lineage and stuff, and like that could have been really interesting, but obviously they didn't. Kind of got cut down before they can get into that stuff.
That bums me out so much. It was supposed to be a 20 episode season, and it got cut down to 13.
Oof.
We could have had more Moral Orel.
We could add Moral Orel.
Even Moral Orel.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, I mean, there's not a whole lot else to really say about it, but yeah, my favorite Adult Swim show.
It's good. If you've not seen Moral Orel, I would highly suggest watching it. It's just very well
easily
well made.
available on HBO Max. And let me just say, we are not sponsored by HBO Max.
Oh, absolutely not.
No,
I complain about HBO Max a lot on here.
So if HBO Max wants to start paying me, I will start kissing ass immediately.
I love HBO Max,
it's
great.
probably the best streaming service I've ever used in my life, now that I think about it.
With HBO Max, I can watch all of my favorite shows from
Out of
Cartoon Network and
order.
Adult Swim.
Are you telling me you could watch Rick and Morty at any time you want?
Anytime you want. It's
Wow.
insane.
All right, should be getting that check from Warner Brothers any day now.
Yeah.
I've seen a cut of that, right?
But before any more
Sure.
corporate gassery happens, how about we touched on C-Lab earlier, but we should definitely talk about sort of the follow-up show that team did in Frisky Dingo.
Frisky Dingo.
Oh, that was Frisky Dingo?
I never watched Frisky Dingo.
I've
Really?
Never seen Frisky Dingo. I have watched a bunch of Archer, the show they did after
Yeah,
that.
and that was a lot of the reason why I wanted to bring it up, is because they would eventually go on. They did the Xtacles for a little bit after this, but
Frisky Dingo very much feels like prototype Archer.
yeah, that was why I wanted to definitely bring it up, is that it's a middle ground between them evolving out of C-Lab and then into Archer, which now has been running for God how long? Like,
12
yeah.
seasons.
New season starts soon.
Yeah.
I'm pretty
But
sure
it
I haven't watched the last 2.
I haven't watched the last like 4.
Yeah, I specifically remember watching a lot of. It's been a long time since I've watched Frisky Dingo, so
Same.
I really don't remember like a lot of characters and jokes and stuff. But there was a period of time where I remember going through like all of it. I had both seasons on DVD, and I remember just going through all of it, and it was a good fun time.
Like, as far as the talking head types of shows that Adult Swim did, I think this is definitely one of the better ones that they have done.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Killface.
Yeah.
Killface is such a good character.
Yeah, it is amazing to see like how much of this is it went into making Archer, because obviously more successful show and everything, but it's still very great on its own merits.
It owes its success to Frisky Dingo. I got one to throw out.
Sure.
So, we brought it up a little earlier, but what do you guys say we go back to our friend Joe Pera?
Of course.
I have not seen any Joe Pera.
Oh, you let me down.
I'm sorry.
That's okay.
You gotta watch Joe Pera, man.
It'll always be there for you.
Do we have a special guest?
Do we have a special guest walking in?
I see somebody here in our channel. Is that who I think it is? Oh, it's Kyle.
Oh my god!
Wow.
Coming in at the last second.
What a surprise.
Yeah.
And it's not even April Fool's.
How's it going? We were just talking about Joe Pera.
That guy?
Yeah.
That guy? Really?
He's neither ink or paint.
No, but we're talking about Adult Swim in general. So.
Yeah, we'll make a special. We'll make an
We'll make an exception.
occasion.
He does have an animated short, and it's very soothing.
Yeah. That I don't know if that was the pilot for this. It was more just a one-off special, but it's
Joe Pera Talks You to Sleep is so goddamn wholesome and soothing, and I enjoy it. I've watched it many times.
It's even better than singing with your boys.
I think you coined this to me once, Dustin, while we were watching this. But I think everyone's heard it described as like visual ASMR.
Basically, yeah.
Because it's just super soothing, comfy, and Joe Pera just has this really distinct way of like talking to the audience that's really comforting. It's very relaxed.
Yeah, it really is Joe kind of sharing his world with you. Some episodes are just like Joe talking about a specific thing. Like there's Joe Pera Takes You to Breakfast. Joe Pera Takes You to the Grocery Store. But then you kind of get you get to see Joe's life too. Like you see his relationship with Sarah, the band teacher, unfold. And that's very heartwarming.
Yeah, it's nice. It's very nice.
It's a wonderful show.
I'll definitely try to make some time to watch it.
I think the best part about Joe Pera to me is how it's like it's like slapped in the middle between like all these other Adult Swim shows, because it's like it is also just kind of like the last thing you'd expect Adult Swim to air, which is just this comfy, wholesome little show about a guy sharing his world with you.
Yeah, it's very un-Adult Swim.
But but at the same time, I feel it's very Adult Swim because of how un-Adult Swim it is.
Yeah, it's a welcome change.
Yeah, Adult Swim is so known for subverting expectations, and they do it yet again with this show. One of my favorite lines is from Takes You to Breakfast. I had to refrain from saying it earlier because we were moving on, but so in that episode, Joe Pera is trying to figure out what he wants for breakfast. And near the end, he's gone around, he's talked to some people there, and then he sits down in the booth and he says, "This shouldn't be so difficult. It's not rockets, it's breakfast."
What fucking kills me at the end when he finally gets to his order?
It's just pancakes.
Well, no. If you listen like right to the end, he wants pancakes and a room temperature can of Sprite.
Yeah, like the whole episode, it's building up. Oh, what's Joe gonna get for breakfast? And it's just the most basic breakfast someone could possibly get.
Joe Pera is like accidentally hilarious. I'm sure he wrote this to be funny, but like the way he delivers it, it's like so sincere that it turns out to be hilarious.
But
Yeah.
it's like the character of Joe Pera himself is like he's just very, very, very simple, very wholesome, and everything else is gets kind of weird around him. Like
The Melskis.
like literally, I've only seen the breakfast episode of this, so it's all I can draw on. But
Well, the
like when
Melskis are in that. They're the neighbor family, like with the perfect egg bite.
that's the thing is like he sits down with his family and this dad goes into like, okay, what's the perfect Joe asks like, what's the perfect egg bite? And he's like, well, I'll explain to you. And his wife next to him just rolls her eyes like, oh god,
She has her head in her hands. She doesn't care.
Their kids are reciting his entire speech because he's done this so many times.
And I love how pissed off he gets. He goes, he fucked it up. He pounds the table. He's like, I need a win. Things aren't going great for me.
And I'm like, God, I feel that.
God, yeah.
Yeah, it's so good because Joe,
he just gets up and leaves.
yeah, like even if things are weird in Joe's world, and like the show goes to play, Joe's not like always in this perfect spot. Things go wrong for Joe too at points, but you know, it kind of leads you through it. I love that even with silly stuff like that, it's never like super exaggerated. It's always within the realm of being real in Joe's life.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
And yeah, it's just wonderful. Moral Orel's my favorite thing Adult Swim ever put out. Joe Pera is right there next to it. It's like a sliver away.
Very good. Very, very good.
As far as live action shows go, I didn't want to spend too much time on. I did want to make mention of them. I think we should talk a little bit about Tim and Eric.
Oh yeah.
You know,
Absolutely.
between Tom Goes to the Mayor and Tim and Eric, awesome show, great job. Just because I feel like that was another show that kind of crossed over into the mainstream for a bit, and
Yeah, it didn't just shape how Adult Swim was at the time. It shaped like a lot of TV.
Yeah, and just
That's how
types
weird
of
it was.
humor that was presented in a lot of those shows. But I didn't want to bring them specifically because I wanted to bring up a different live action show that is my favorite of the network, and that's the Eric Andre show.
Yes, I was waiting for one of us to mention Eric Andre because
Is Eric Andre like a spinoff of that, or
No, but
It's
It
made
has
by the same
Eric.
production company.
yeah,
okay.
and that was the relation I was going to make to it. Because it's basically live action. Well, and it's not like Space Ghost, but there's a lot of influence from Space Ghost in it. And
I think he specifically said it was inspired by Space
yeah,
Ghost
he's
Coast to
like
Coast.
he
Yeah.
specifically said Space Ghost Coast to Coast was a huge inspiration for his show, and you can definitely feel that in like the interactions he has with Hannibal Buress, and like especially the interactions he has with the guests.
yeah,
Except whereas within Space Ghost, it's all a cartoon. It's like actors talking to a cartoon, so at worst they just get kind of awkward as the cartoon plays out.
Well,
Meanwhile-
whereas Space Ghost works on the system where, okay, we're going to ask these interviewees, like, these unrelated questions that we're going to recontextualize with Space Ghost and crew talking to them. Whereas at Eric Andre, it's them just trying to make their guests like as uncomfortable as possible, and it's like it's a prank show basically.
And the funniest part about it to me is that because I've heard about a lot of stuff from behind the scenes. It's like apparently I don't know if they still do this, but for a couple of seasons they would just have fish just from like a fisherman like in the studio to like give it this rotting fish smell.
Oh
To
god,
make them uncomfortable right from the
They
start.
would have like the heaters cranked up.
they have like people like gears and like the chairs moving around like every now and then to like spook the guests. Like
Yeah.
And there would be like what was it? There was, and like the funniest part about it all is that like the actual interviews they go for are like legitimate interviews that they go on for like 2 hours, and the parts they use for the show are just a moment where Eric just decides to fuck with the guests, and like by that point it's like 2 hours in. So by that point, they probably have forgotten that they're on the Eric Andre show, and that's when they get them the hardest.
Man, that show. It's a very funny show, but I feel like there's some parts of it that I just cannot watch.
it
Gets a little too
sometimes.
cringe.
yeah.
It gets a little too in there. I think like a lot of the bits where Eric is like hassling people on the streets of New York can get really iffy. I think some of them are funny. Like, I think generally speaking,
Somebody ordered a pizza ball.
Somebody ordered a pizza ball. One of them from the new season that I absolutely love, which is just like there's like some random people just kind of doing a focus testing group, and Eric just breaks through the window and barges in, and then says some like crazy shit. And then all of a sudden, he starts clapping, and the wall breaks from behind the random people who are coming in to do focus testing, and everybody's applauding, and Eric just gives them all $5. And also, and like,
So good.
and my favorite one, and this is one of like the funniest thing to me is always just what line is Eric going to cross where like, how has he not been arrested? And then you have the one from like one of his earliest ones where the bit is he literally just goes into a jewelry store, he breaks the glass and starts stealing jewelry, and then he gets tackled and apparently got arrested off camera.
Whoops.
Yeah, it's just tons of great bits out of that show.
But even in the interviews, there's some parts where I'm just like, ugh. I mean, poor Brenda Song.
Yeah,
I watched the Brenda Song episode, and I was like, oh, why would you do this to her?
or even like the episode of the Jack McBrayer.
Oh,
It just frightened the hell out of him. How about them prices, Jack?
I think the one that gets me every time, both laughter and like, man, why'd you do that to him? Is the one when they had Flava Flav, and like it was, typical.
Roundhouse kicks them.
It just fucking roundhouse kicks him in the face at the end.
Oh, Jesus Christ!
Yeah, that show is something else entirely.
Sure is something else.
Yeah,
I made the mistake of trying to show an episode to my parents once, and I regretted it
Oh,
so
God.
bad. As soon as it started, it was like 5 seconds in, I was like, "Oh,
God, what have
no,
I
I
done?"
made a bad decision."
No.
So, so I figure we should probably round this out by talking about Venture Brothers. But
Yeah.
before we do that, since Kyle is here, Kyle, is there a particular favorite Adult Swim show that you would like to mention?
Well, I'll just bring up my bestie, my bestie show, but I really like the Drinky Crow show.
Oh, Drinky Crow
Oh
is.
yeah.
I haven't seen it in a long time, but I always really liked the art style for it.
I've always fucked with the aesthetic and art style of Drinky Crow, but I'll be honest, I haven't seen it in a hot minute.
I'd
haven't
like
seen
to
it-
again.
Drinky Crow is great.
I wish there was more of it because it's definitely one of the more unique looking shows on Adult Swim
Mhm.
too.
It's one of those shows that came out around the time that almost everything on Adult Swim got like one season.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it premiered at the same time. I think the pilot for it and Superjail came out at the same time.
Oof. I like both of them. Superjail's amazingly animated. No, I like Drinky Crow because I always liked him as a character from middle school. Saw it in like the SNL shorts. Those were always like funny.
The
I
Mackie
started reading.
shorts.
Yeah, I started reading the comics, and it was just kind of cool to see. It's just weird to make a adult cartoon out of a newspaper comic that's like
Yeah.
vulgar as shit.
Mhm. I always thought Drinky Crow himself was like a super amazing design. I know they made a vinyl. Wish I got.
I have that vinyl, and Tony Millionaire signed it for me.
Oh, nice. He just lends himself so well to being a vinyl figure.
Yeah. I thought it was weird that Dino Stapalopoulos was the guy who voiced him in the show.
Yeah, the creator of Moral Orel himself.
Yeah, Mr. Starburns himself.
Hey, Starburns. I totally forgot about that.
He sure is.
I thought that was weird, but I think what is it, Dave Herman?
Mhm. Dave Herman as Uncle Gabby.
Man, that is inspired choice. I fucking love him.
Yeah, it's great.
But just recently watching it's good. It's not like the best thing, and it's kind
I
of
think-
sad.
I'll go.
It was around the time where they stopped making DVDs too, and I think you had to make to order if you wanted
Yeah,
the DVD.
Adult Swim used to do DVD. They used to do this thing on their website where you could make your own Adult Swim DVD, and you could like pick random show episodes of random shows. And I think that was the only way you could get like Drinky Crow, Perfect Hair Forever, later episodes of Moral Orel, etc., etc.
Huh.
Yeah, it's just kind of weird. I bet that shit's worth a lot of fucking money since there was no like other way to get that.
Yeah.
Probably, yeah.
But,
Any other shows you want to bring up, Kyle?
Trying to think, because one thing I was gonna say was I remember seeing premiere night and seeing like the Brack show and everything, and wondering like,
yeah.
fun. That was pretty interesting. But
Yeah, we definitely talked about all the original run shows.
Well, Kyle, I even made mention of it when we brought it up. But now that you're here, maybe you can enlighten us on China, Illinois.
Oh, I used to watch the Baby Cakes cartoons. They were from Super Deluxe, and I don't know why I just became so enamored by this giant man-child.
Yeah.
It's just so fucking funny. And then like, I'm not a big rap person, but Baby Cake he raps, and they're so fucking funny, and they actually sound good.
When I think of the old Super Deluxe cartoons, this isn't Baby Cakes, but it's still made by Brad Neely. I think of the George Washington song first.
Washington.
The Professor Brothers stuff.
8'6", weighs
Yeah.
a fucking ton.
Classic.
Just Professor Brothers was really good because there's the one, I don't know if you guys know it. The Professor Brothers. I'm trying to think of God, I forgot their names. That's so sad. I really like it too. But they're having a late date. I don't know if you guys have seen that one.
Mm-mm.
I
one
feel
of
like I
them-
have, but it's been a long time.
Yeah.
One of them's telling a story to one of their dates of why they're so late, and they had to pick the dean up from the airport, and he had just bought shoes. He bought new shoes, and he left his blown out ones at the register of this shoe store, and it's like one of my favorite lines of all time. He says, "You guys are the reason that God doesn't talk to us anymore."
Oh, jeez.
But he was late because he had to run to his car in the rain with his brand new shoes, so he puts condoms on his shoes. He throws his mud covered condoms in the back of his seat, and he picks up the dean and his wife, and the dean's wife freaks out because it looks like shit covered condoms. He's just like, he tells them, "Let me explain. Those have not been in asses," and that's great. But China, Illinois, it took the best of both of the Professor Brothers and Baby Cakes, and I fucking love that show.
That's
And
great.
I think it only got 2 seasons, didn't it, or only
3
one
seasons.
season?
It got
like
3 seasons.
3 seasons. Okay.
That's not a bad run, all things
That's
considered.
a pretty good
Yeah.
run, especially for like an Adult Swim show that's like a little less on the mainstream and more just like among Adult Swim fans.
Yeah, like you
Pretty
said, there's so many Adult Swim shows that like only got 1 season. Sometimes for better, sometimes for worse. I don't think any of us really lament losing a Minority.
No.
Yeah.
Saul of the Mole Man.
Oh, Saul of the Mole Man's great. I love Saul of the Mole Man.
I've seen like one episode of Saul of the Mole Man, and I don't know how to feel about that one.
It's real fun.
It is fun.
And Trey Parker seems the themes.
Yeah. I remember a couple years back, I tried to just watch all of Adult Swim stuff because that's where I saw Moral Orel. Never watched it. I really liked it.
I
started
adore
watching.
Moral Orel.
Yeah.
I already said, but
I started watching Squidbillies because I never watched it, and like 12-Ounce Mouse. Black Dynamite. I don't know if you guys had brought that up.
I was
yeah, we brought it up.
fully
That went
one
on in length.
about it.
Yeah.
I love that show.
And then like the shit from the beginning, like I liked Stroker and Hoop. That was a fun show.
Oh
Stroker
god,
and
I
Hoop.
forgot about that.
Stroker and Hoop's a weird one because Adult Swim just like never re-releases it. It never got a DVD. It's not on HBO Max. They like rarely ever play it.
Show that never happened.
Yeah.
Basically.
It is all up on their app, on their website.
Better than nothing.
Yeah.
Yeah. But Oh, and Mike Tyson Mysteries. I really like Mike Tyson.
Yeah.
Oh
Mysteries.
yeah, we talked
Yeah,
about Mike
we
Tyson
talked
That's a
about
Mysteries.
great
Mike
That was
show.
good.
Love that one.
Harvey
It's
Birdman's
so-
great.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah, love
we're-
Harvey Birdman.
We're talking
Love-
about our favorites of the original lineup. That was my favorite.
Frisky Dingo was a show that I watched, never saw it, and then it was like Prototype Archer. I like Frisky Dingo. That was
Yeah.
pretty fun.
Yeah.
Frisky Dingo, I think, is on. If you were to list all of the Adult Swim shows by like popularity and how much people know them, I would probably put Frisky Dingo in the bottom half.
Probably.
Yeah.
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 But see, it's weird because at that time, it got a Kid Robot figure
Yeah.
when they were doing Adult Swim stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Also, Assy McGee got a figure too. So
Wait, it did? Oh my god, I need that. I don't even like Assy McGee. I just want to have that as like a conversation piece.
It's a
Oh.
big ass.
yeah.
The thing is,
So, what does the
I
back of
haven't
the
seen
figure
enough.
look like?
What's up?
What does the back of the Assy McGee figure look like? You only ever see him from the. Well, I guess you technically see him from the back all the time, not the front. What does this front look like
Ooh, that's a good
on the
question.
figure?
I want it to just be like a little smiling face.
Yeah.
Well, I remember that they made a cookie jar of Assy McGee as well.
God.
But,
You know, we rag on Assy McGee, but here we are laughing at the concept.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is just one of those like it's one of the things I adore most about Adult Swim is just they will take the stupidest, weirdest fucking concept they'll be given and just say, sure, fuck it, let's do something with this.
Yeah, for better or for worse, they give a lot of shows a chance.
Yeah, and I appreciate that, even if it's not good.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah, I don't want
know-
to say everything Adult Swim makes is a masterpiece. They have their share of duds.
Oh yeah. But
Like-
yeah. So just to sort of like, I feel like this is a fitting one to sort of wrap up the Adult Swim conversation on. But yeah, we definitely needed to talk about Venture Brothers.
Oh yeah.
Venture Brothers. I remember watching the premiere of it, thinking,
Same.
"What the fuck is this?" Because it was animated really weird the first season.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's almost Flash. Or
Yeah.
if it
The
was.
first season, try the pilot. The pilot is
The pilot, yeah.
Pilot's
so
rough.
ugly.
Yeah.
But it's
Like,
fun to watch. It's fun to see how it used to be at first. It's
Yeah.
very interesting compared to how it would shape up later.
The scene that sticks out to me the most from the earlier seasons is where Brock and Molotov are fighting, and she's kicking him in the face, and it's just like a foot from the bottom, and it's just hitting him from the bottom, where it's almost just absolutely impossible to do. It's
Yeah, it's
so
like-
fucking funny.
It's like a fucking don't mess with the Zohan or something. Like,
Yeah, but no, it was just a silly show, and then it became such a huge like connected plot, and it just became so like engaging to watch, and it became like my absolute favorite show.
and man,
Nice.
that was
I would almost say of all time, it became like my favorite show of all time.
Damn.
yeah,
High
definitely.
praise.
It's
I-
definitely one of my
I-
top ones too.
I remember, I forget which one of the creators said it. Or, no, I don't think any of the creators said it. I think it was a different podcast. They said, The Venture Brothers is a show that's so wrapped up in itself that it doesn't gain new fans. It only loses ones that it already had.
I mean, if you tried to get into Venture Bros on whatever the current season is, I feel like you'd be so confused.
You can't.
Yeah.
You just can't do it. You got to
I
watch it
tried.
from the beginning.
Venturable.
The interesting thing about the Venture Brothers is that it has so much Tick DNA in it because the creators worked on the cartoon of the Tick like
Mhm.
way back in 94, 96.
Oh wow.
And if you look at all the stupid fucking superheroes, it's almost indistinguishable from the Tick.
Yeah, you could easily see
Yeah.
Brick Frog showing up in the Tick.
Yeah.
Like I remember because like this was Venture Brothers was like the one other thing that my parents, or well, specifically my dad, let me watch when I was a kid on Adult Swim. But like I watched the first episode and I just didn't really get it at the time. Like, and I do really want to go back and watch Venture Brothers in full, especially since I've seen where the series goes afterwards, and I really like it. But I definitely feel like I would appreciate it more if I started from the beginning and went through with like where the whole plot kind of started
should.
and ended.
You should.
Yeah.
It's great.
I have very strong memories of. So I was not a good student in high school, but I have memories of waking up really early to do homework that I didn't do the night prior that I was supposed to do. I would wake up at like 4 a.m. to get this homework done before school, and Venture Brothers would be on. So I'd just have Venture Brothers on in the background while I was doing homework.
Nice.
Yeah. I haven't watched the last couple seasons of Venture Brothers because every time a new season would start,
You
I
forget
would
what
be
happened
like-
the last season.
yeah, I would be like, okay, so before this starts, I'm going to go back and watch the rest of the series, kind of catch up, re-familiarize myself. And then I just don't because that's such a commitment. And then I just end up missing the whole season.
Well,
Yeah.
that's another
Jeez.
thing. Like the fact that every season of Venture Brothers takes like 5 or 6 years to come out is another thing that like is another reason why I never really could get into it back when it was like airing. Other than
Mhm.
like watching the episodes when they aired and enjoying them for what they were worth. But again, it's definitely one of those where like I would willingly sit down and binge it, but that's a huge commitment.
Yeah. And waiting for the episodes to air, like, you know, as they were airing was definitely like, you know, you had to be tenacious about it because, yeah, it took so long to produce and everything. But, you know, the fruits of their labor are so strong that it absolutely was worth the wait every time. The show is
Yeah.
amazing.
Absolutely.
The best thing about new seasons would be the shirt of the week club.
I got one of those shirts. The
I-
only one I got was when 24 died.
Oh shit! I think that was the first year that they did that.
Yeah, I made sure to get that one. I was like, I had to show respect to my boy, you know.
Yeah.
I would buy the season pass, and then they would just send every single shirt as they would come out, and that was so great.
That's such a cool idea.
It's awesome.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's sad
And-
they don't do.
Yeah, well, it's sad they don't do Venture Brothers anymore.
Well, you
They
know,
kind of are,
Yeah.
but
they're doing a movie, and who knows what else might come from that. Hopefully, they can actually, you know, if the movie's not made to wrap up the entire series, they'll maybe get like one last season or something. We don't know the
how many
content of
times
that
has the
movie.
show ended at this point?
Yeah, but we need like a very definitive, like, this is the last episode type of episode, you know?
Well,
yeah.
I felt like the episode where they had the prom felt like a pretty good place to end it, and then they had like 2 seasons after that.
Yeah.
True, but from what I heard too, or what I remember, there were like little dangling plot things that they didn't solve
yeah.
Right.
at that point.
Look, I like the Venture Brothers a lot, but I think when the Venture Brothers was canceled, it was the least surprising thing on the planet to me.
Yeah.
It's not one of Adult Swim's bigger shows. It has a very dedicated fan base, but like it doesn't bring in the ratings for Adult Swim. I'm sure it's expensive as shit to make. It comes out once every 4 or 5 years. When it was canceled, I was like, wow, it took this long.
Yeah.
Well, for whatever they say is the reason why it got canceled was Lazo stepped down.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
can say
he
it
was
being
the
the
only
catalyst.
person.
Mhm.
He was the only
The fact
person
that-
keeping it up.
Yeah, the fact that it was canceled like immediately after, just it speaks volumes.
Yeah.
Not that it deserves it. It's a great show, but everything just it
Writing's
makes
on the
complete
wall.
sense. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I'm glad we're getting a movie, and who knows, maybe it'll lead to it getting picked up again. Because I think the reason why it's even getting a movie was because the fan response to it getting canceled.
Same reason
Yeah.
why Metalocalypse got greenlit for a movie too.
But that's the thing is that literally anything, because Dustin knows anything Rare posts, you get to bring Banjo Kazooie back. It was the same thing with Adult Swim. Anything
Uh-huh.
Adult Swim would post would be bring back Metalocalypse. That's all anybody would say.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's fucking weird, but they would bring it up all the time and nothing would happen. Nobody cared. But I also heard that Brendan Small's been on record saying how bad he got fucked over from Adult Swim. Just all this stuff going on.
I'm guessing they're on good terms now since he was on their podcast a couple years ago, and he was talking about how they came to him and asked him if he'd like to do some Metalocalypse stuff for their Adult Swim on the Green Festival.
That's good.
Yeah, he happily agreed. He told them ahead of time. He said, "Look, if we do this, we're going to be opening a Pandora's box to the fans. You're going to be getting a lot of emails, and I guess that's what led to them getting a new movie.
And that's the reason why we ended up with Venture Brothers getting greenlit as well, because it has our own, Venture Brothers has its own very dedicated fan base. So, like we were talking about earlier, it's cool that Adult Swim does, eventually give in to sort of fan demand for things that clearly people want.
Yeah.
Venture Brothers is one of my favorite cartoons, and it also has one of my favorite characters. I also really like the Monarch.
The Monarch.
Monarch's like one of my absolute favorite cartoon characters. I love him so much.
It's amazing.
When I think of the Monarch, the first thing that comes to mind, it's not even like a super clever joke or anything, but it's just when they do the Venture Brothers jingle, for lack of a better word. But but over it he goes, "The Mighty Monarch."
It's so sad. It's so satisfying to hear him say the F word uncensored. That's the thing I love about this too, because there's always, with the Venture Brothers, they always say that all the characters come in pairs in a sense. So it's like the Venture Brothers are usually paired up. The Doc and Doc Samson are usually paired up.
21,
like
24.
Billy. Yeah. So there's a lot of that, but it's also because the voice actors are paired up.
Yeah.
It's those two doing the voices for everyone.
Yeah. 21 and 24. Pete and Billy, etc., etc.
Yeah.
I love that because they do some pretty wild voices. They don't sound the same. It's not like South Park where you can tell everybody's doing the same kind of voice.
You can kind of tell.
You can tell.
Some characters.
Yeah, not all of them, but yeah, it's not as bad as like a South Park type situation.
Yeah, for sure.
It's interesting how they play most of the duos in the show, but not Hank and Dean. Only Hank is voiced by one of them. That's interesting. Like the title characters are not those two together.
Yeah,
that is true.
Yeah.
And it's weird too, because what is it? Dean does a lot of fucking anime voices.
He's Kappa Mikey.
Yeah,
he's also he's Phoenix Wright in Ultimate Marvel vs. Capcom.
Yeah,
is that right?
He is.
Yeah.
I just remember watching like random animes and like, what the fuck? And then looking it up.
Michael Citronicus gets around, man.
He's gotta fucking pay rent.
That's true.
That Venture Brothers money clearly isn't paying it anymore.
Yeah.
Well, guys, is there anything else you want to mention before we wrap up here?
I think we got over. We didn't go over Smiling Friends, but
we'll talk about Smiling Friends when the actual show comes out.
Yeah,
you know what? Yeah.
That one's in beta.
Tigtone.
Tigtone's good. I just recently
Tigtone's
watched
fantastic.
They just announced Tigtone's finishing up, huh?
I think.
Did they?
Yeah, I think so.
Like, is it getting another season?
I don't think so.
I think what they basically had to come out and say that like Tigtone after season 2 is it didn't get greenlit basically. So
that's
after season 2, that's where it ends, which is unfortunate, but I think it ended on a pretty funny note.
See, like, I remember reading, Adventure Time is like someone's D&D campaign, like Penn doing a D&D campaign, whatever. Tigtone feels more like that.
Tigtone is absolutely someone's just D&D or like their freaking like RPG campaign that they just turned into a show.
It's just balls to the wall, crazy bullshit, and that's why I like that show.
Yeah, it's fantastic. It still looks unlike any other show I've ever seen.
Oh, it's unique for sure.
It's fucking weird looking, and I love it.
One of my friends worked on it. The same guy worked on Venture Brothers as well.
Yeah, Kyle, when you took me to visit Titmouse a couple years back, they were working on Tigtone at the time. They had like a room where they were doing. They were working on it. We didn't see them working on it, but they said, in one of the rooms they were working on Tigtone.
It was I think facial mocap that they were doing at the time.
That's the one.
But yeah, It's a husband and wife duo, Bonnie and Bill Stewart. They work at Titmouse and they work on everything, man.
Nice.
That's
We should
all.
have Bonnie. We should have them on sometime.
That'd be
They're
cool.
great.
I'm sure they'd be. We actually, I think we had Bonnie on once, but
Bonnie did the Kung Fu Panda one.
that's right. Yeah, when we did Kung Fu Panda 3, that was a good time.
Yep.
Good time had
Very-
by all. I assume
then-
I wasn't there.
Well, I can definitely say that this podcast was a good time, and I enjoyed
Yeah.
talking about the long legacy of Adult Swim. It continues to endure to this day, and I pray that it endures many years into the future, whatever it shapes into. But
Yeah, unfortunately, Adult Swim kind of hit hard times with this AT&T merger thing. You know, a lot of this, they canceled all of the streams. Their store got taken down. Obviously, Venture Brothers is gone. So for a while, things weren't looking too good for them, but I think things are kind of in a better spot now, I think.
I think with
Yeah.
the advent of streaming, like with HBO Max, they'll be in a slightly better spot.
Mhm.
And again, who knows? Rick and Morty will probably go on for 100 years, so they'll still be around, if not only
100
just for
years.
Rick and Morty.
there you
Do
go.
they still do that pitch stream? Because that was fun.
No,
No,
we-
they don't do that anymore, but
we
we
brought that up
talked about it.
earlier, and we were saying
Oof.
that you're trying to get on there.
Yeah, and then Pan Pizza fucking spilled spaghetti everywhere doing his.
I remember that.
Yikes.
God.
That was rough.
Yeah, eat shit, Pan Pizza. I'm just
Whoa.
kidding. I enjoy your stuff a
Just
lot.
kidding, Pam. I love you.
Yeah.
Oh,
But we were talking about Skeleton Landlord. Did you see that one, Kyle?
I heard that it was pitched and they picked it up or something
Yeah,
like that.
they made a short out of it. I think it was like the only thing that came out of pitch meeting that they actually made.
Yikes. I have like people's series Bible in my my Google Drive.
Oh,
Like
nice.
they would share it and yeah, not really the best stuff.
Well,
That's fine. Pitching a show is hard.
They're
Yeah.
like, "Hey
Yeah.
guys, it's a roommate show, but they're mythical creatures and
Stinky
Haven't-
and dinky.
haven't seen them."
Man, at least this gives me hope that maybe one day my show pitch, which is just going to be an animated sitcom, but one of the main characters is a floating talking butt that only speaks in fart noises.
Perfect.
I love it. Well, guys, I think that'll do it for this week. Thank you all for listening. If you made it this far,
You're welcome.
yeah, I'm gonna go pass out now. Everybody, take care. We'll catch you next time.
Yeah, thank you. Bye.
Later.
Bye.
Thanks for listening. You can find all the links to our social media pages in the episode description. Follow us on Facebook and Twitter and join our Discord. You can listen to us wherever you get your podcasts. The Ink and Paint Club is happy to be part of the Geekly Grind Podcast Network. We'll see you next time.